Cavaliers. Bronny has not played in the Lakers' last 3 games. Lakers coach J.J. Redick may feel some pressure to put LeBron and Bronny on the floor together to satisfy Cleveland fans. 4 p.m. tip-off local time. The Clippers are at home tonight against Portland. The Clippers are looking for their first regular season home win in the Intuit Dome. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is here for you as you make your voting plan. And we've got a few things you may want to know. In the state of California, you can register to vote all the way up until the last day to vote, which is November 5th. In LA County, you may vote at any voting center or polling place of your choosing. Early voting has already started, both in person and by mail. If you need information about your registration or any election question, call the Registrar of Voters at 800-815-2666. That's 800-815-2666, or visit lavote.gov. Once you fill out your mail-in ballot, you may drop it in any county election mailbox found outside places like libraries, or you could drop it off with a poll worker at any vote center. If you suspect election foul play, voter suppression or intimidation, or other irregularities, or if you need to know more about your rights, call the Election Protection Hotline at 1-866-OUR-VOTE. That's 866-687-8683. From any state. And if you need more information on specific candidates or propositions, check out our interviews and analysis on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, November 5th is the last day to vote, and the sooner we do it, the better. Helping you vote like your life depended on it, because it does. Your election information station, KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. It is election season indeed. Nothing like a little music to get us through it. Joining me now in studio, a candidate for LA County Superior Court Judge. She's a civil attorney with over 20 years of experience, and she's running for seat number 137. She was raised in Altadena, Pasadena, went to middle school there, elementary and high school there. She's got her bachelor's degree in ancient history from UC Berkeley, her JD from University of LaVerne College of Law, and she was admitted to the bar in 2003. Tracey Blount, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, sorry for saying your name wrong all this time.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Was the O in there that threw me off? So why do you want to be a judge?
Well, that's the question I've been answering for almost a year now.
Yeah, I bet.
And I want to be a judge because I want to serve. And by that, I mean I have worked as an attorney for LA County for 20 years, paralegal and attorney for about 20 years, over 20 years. And I am a government attorney. I am a public servant. I represent, the county of Los Angeles. And being in court every day, doing what I was doing in court for 12 years, you kind of get to know what judges do.
Yeah, I bet.
And, in my courthouse, we deal with child abuse and neglect. And the judge shoulders a lot. So you really get an intimate understanding of the weight of what they have to do. It is about service, or it's supposed to be. And you have people coming before you with their problems, and child abuse and neglect is a pretty big problem.
Yeah, it is.
And they have to address that. And that's service. They're serving the community because they're affecting the lives of these families every single day. So that's the way I want to serve. I want to serve the way the judges serve who I appeared before for years, and tried to help families and tried to make them better and healthier for their kids.
You're you're a woman, you're a black woman. In this particular office 137, it's two women.
Yes.
Running for the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the question is, what do you think that experience of being a woman in general and a black woman in particular could bring to the bench?
It brings a lot to the bench because we as black women, black people, we have a unique perspective. And as most courts, we all know most courts are disproportionately black and brown, the cases that come to those courts. My courthouse is no exception. And having a seat at the table is critically important to understanding what goes on maybe with the black family that's different, what goes on in our community that is unique. What understanding do I have to have about not just, and I'm just speaking because you asked me specifically about being black. We have to understand, of course, what everybody's going through and hear their story. But when you're black and you have a black family coming before you, you have a different lens that you're looking through to understand, okay, there might be a backstory here that I'm tuned into that someone who's not black might not be. And that's just the reality. Yeah. So, and culturally speaking, that could go for an Asian judge, a Hispanic judge. They might tune into things that culturally I might not, that they can explain to me. So having a seat at that table with all the judges of different races, ethnicities, backgrounds, you get to discuss these things and hopefully help another judge understand, get a different perspective on what is going on in my community that they might not have had. Mm-hmm. So when a family comes before them, then they can say, they might think about a conversation they had with me that will help them through that case in a different way, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. You've worked, with handling child abuse and neglect cases, as you mentioned, family law, sexual abuse, legal guardianship. One of the things that comes to mind for me in this conversation as a mom, also black mom, is that we've seen black children are more likely to be taken out of their homes than other children for whatever reason.
Yes, that's the case.
How do you see that? Like, what could or should be done about that, and how would, what role would judges play in that?
Well, what comes to mind are task force and committees that have been formed to address that issue. My office is involved in all of that to make sure, the legalities of these things are addressed as they should be. These task force are focused on how cases are reported. And really, it starts with the reporter.
I gotcha.
So, it's the diversity, the inclusion, the equity discussion that's going on in my office and offices, hopefully around the country, as to why are you even calling this in? Should it be called in?
Right.
Is there a real child safety risk? Because that's what we're dealing with. Is there a real child safety risk versus the family is poor and they might need resources? If they're poor and need resources, they shouldn't be in the system.
Right.
So, all of that discussion is underway, and hopefully we'll get to the reporter, because once we get the case, it's already been through a bunch of, different processes. And then we just have to kind of deal with it in court. Yeah. So the reporter, whoever that is, if it's a relative, if it's a medical professional, law enforcement, whoever, why are you calling this in? And is there a real risk here? That's the issue.
You're also a mom, 2 grown women.
Yes.
Yet grown young women. What's the mom lens for LA County Superior Court judge? Or is there even a mom lens?
There really can't be any lens, but I'm sitting in this chair and I have to deal with who comes before me. And I guess as a mom, depending on the case, I can only talk about what I do right now. You think about, if you're a normal person, mom, you're thinking about these kids and, are they safe? What's happening to them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My cases, I look at not as a number on a case, but as kids attached to this case. So I have to make sure that I'm handling this with care so that they get where they need to go. So, I think depending on the issue you're faced with is, how you're going to see it.
Yeah, makes sense. What's your vision? Your website says that you have a vision for a fair and just legal system. How does that intersect with what you hope to do if elected?
First of all, when I think of that, when I see that, I think of the judges that I've appeared before, who I feel and have said for the entirety of my campaign were some of the best, because whoever came before them, they were respectful, they were thoughtful, they treated the people fairly, they were just good to the population who came into their courtroom, because they knew, you're dealing with, going to court is stressful. It's ridiculously stressful.
Yeah, for anybody.
For anybody. It could be a traffic ticket. You're going to be kind of stressed about going in front of a judge. And the judges that I had were so kind and respectful to the people that came in front of them, to let them know, hey, I understand why you're here. Let's just take this one step at a time. And they dealt with them fairly. That's what I mean by fair and just. It didn't matter who it was. It didn't matter what race, what ethnicity, what gender. Your case is here. We know it's stressful. Let's work through this. That's what a judge is supposed to do. Right. And then you follow the law, do what you're supposed to do under the law. But it's not because, you don't make decisions based on what someone looks like or that you don't like them and things like that. That's what fair and just judges are supposed to do.
Yeah, and it's a nonpartisan office.
Yes, it is.
But you do have endorsements. Talk to me about some of your endorsements.
That's a good question, and we just had that question on Saturday. I have been endorsed by the LA Times. The LA County Democratic Party vets us all and deemed me to be well qualified. LA County Democratic Party has endorsed me, and I have a number of endorsements from Democratic clubs and Republican, from law enforcement. We don't always ask for these endorsements.
Interesting.
And
sometimes an endorsement can just pop up. We endorse you. Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, I just saw something in the paper where the LA GOP recommended me. They didn't endorse me, but they recommended me. And you know what I say to that? Fine, because I don't just represent Democrats. I don't just, or shouldn't say represent, I'm not going to just deal with Democrats when they come in court or Republicans.
You have to adjudicate for everybody.
I got to deal with everybody.
Yeah.
You know, so it's as it should be.
That said, you do have the New Frontier Democratic Club, Antelope Valley, LA County Party, National Women's Political Caucus, Law PAC, the famous Law PAC.
Yes.
And also ALETS, which is the Sheriff's Deputy Association. When we come forward, I want to talk about, concepts of restorative justice, concepts of, how you would manage the bench and how you see yourself. Now, obviously, you've made it really clear you want to be a judge for everybody, and that, fairness and, following the law is your priority.
Yes.
But everybody has their own philosophy and why they want to do it and how they plan to do it once they get the job. So we'll look at that when we come forward.
Okay.
We're talking with Tracey Blount. She wants to be your LA County Superior Court judge for seat 137. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580. Are you an entrepreneur looking to take your business to new heights? KBLA Talk 1580 is your partner in success. Every day, we celebrate and elevate Black-owned businesses across our community. Our KBLA SMB Marketplace currently features The Cookie Dip, Badass Bakes, Hair Concoction, Higher Education Accreditation Consulting, LACC Radiology Technology Department, and Malik Books. Your business deserves to be heard. Let KBLA Talk 1580 amplify your voice and connect you with our powerful community of listeners. Email smb@kbla1580.com today. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Angelinos, it is critical to vote down ballot this November, especially for our local judges. Judges make major decisions, not just in our criminal courts, but also in our family, juvenile, small claims, and housing courts across LA County. This November, we must elect community lawyers who will bring their informed legal experiences to the LA Superior Court. The defenders of justice are Erica Wiley for seat number 48 and George Turner for seat number 39. If you live in LA County, they will be on your ballot. Ad paid for by the Justice PAC by La Defensa, a project of Tide's advocacy for Turner and Wiley for Judge 2024. Top funders include Patty Quillen and Smart Justice California Action Fund.
Fam, some of y'all need to hear this. If you owe the IRS $8,000 or more, if you haven't filed your taxes, or if you are going through an audit and you're fighting the IRS, you need someone on your side, an ally. Allies Tax Relief has a large team of professionals that negotiates with the IRS on behalf of taxpayers just like you. Allies Tax Relief will protect your wages from being garnished, your bank account from being levied, and your assets from being seized by the IRS. Allies Tax Relief has fought for thousands of Americans in your situation. There's no reason to be embarrassed. Don't let fear stop you from calling and resolving your issue. Call 800-854-2815 today for a free consultation. Allies teams of tax attorneys, CPAs, and enrolled agents have negotiated millions in IRS tax debt, and they're ready to fight for you. Call today for the freedom you've been waiting for. Call 800-854-2815 or visit alliestaxrelief.com.
What if you could hear your favorite song for the first time again? Introducing the all-new, reimagined Nissan Kicks. With an available Bose Personal Plus sound system that uses speakers in the headrest to create a 360-degree listening experience. You've never heard anything like this. Reimagine your music and your drive. Experience the all-new, reimagined Nissan Kicks for yourself at nissanusa.com today.
Available feature. Bose is a registered trademark of the Bose Corporation.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
We are talking with Tracey Blount. She is a civil attorney, got over 20 years of experience, and she is running for LA County Superior Court, seat 137. I asked you, to speak on this idea of restorative justice or alternatives to incarceration. We've got a new bail schedule. We've got a whole bunch of sort of philosophical changes about how we deal with people in the justice system that are going to be coming before you should you be elected. How do you view these changes?
I think that's a positive thing. And I say that because in the court system that I work in and the area of law I work in, we don't order people to jail. We order people to participate in services like counseling, like if the issue's a drug issue, then it's a drug treatment program. If the issue's domestic violence, then it would be individual counseling to address that, a domestic violence program for victims. Whatever the issue is what the judge seeks to address in the orders they make. So that's not a foreign concept to me at all. In the criminal arena, there's more of a weighing and balancing, because if this person is, a threat to society and a violent person, then, is a program like counseling or treatment going to help? If they have a mental health issue underlying all of these, if they're violent criminal and they have mental health issues, the judge can weigh and balance. Should they get mental health treatment in addition to, making sure that they're not a threat to anyone in society? So it's a balancing. I see it as something that's necessary for sure. And that's part of looking at a case on its facts, not as like, okay, here comes another criminal in my courtroom, I'm just going to put him in jail. If there is a way to treat this person so that they're productive and that they address their mental health issues, then that has to be looked at. It's not always going to be the case, and that's the reality, but it has to be looked at, because there are cases where that can help someone to turn a corner and not keep on, threatening or being violent or doing whatever they're doing. And so that's the role of the judge, to look at every case on its facts within the law to make sure, can I help this person? Can I do something for this person that's not throwing them in jail and exacerbating their problem and they come out and they're the same? I mean, it has to be looked at.
In many of these judicial races, you have a prosecutor going up against a defense attorney, and many times those of us who consider ourselves progressives will automatically go with the defense attorney just for balance, because most judges are prosecutors.
Mm-hmm.
The progressive website Knock LA has given no recommendation in your race, saying that neither candidate sticks out as a strong choice for progressive voters. Neither one of you is a defense attorney. Your opponent is not a defense attorney, nor are you. And I know it's a nonpartisan race. There's some things you can say and some things you can't say. Judges, strictly speaking, are not really politicians.
That's
even though
right.
You're running for what we would call, you're on the political ballot. So what would you say to black voters, progressive voters, to help us place you in this race?
That's a good question. And I really am somewhere in the middle. I handle cases that involve a lot of times criminal elements, criminal charges. We're not a criminal court. There can be a criminal case running with the case that we have, but we are not involved in the criminal case. Like I said, the judges in my courthouse don't send people to jail. We're working on strengthening the family with services.
Right, but if you're elected to Superior Court, they can place you anywhere. Right?
Yeah, they can. Yeah. That's right. All I can say to that is, in my years in this area of law, we're dealing with people and their issues, and I mean every issue. We're talking about drugs, education, divorce, custody, domestic violence, anything and everything, sexual abuse, child exploited, CSEC, the sexually exploited youth. We have a special courtroom for that. We're dealing with all the human people issues, and we have to address them. Legal guardianship, child death, you name it. I think when you do that, you have a different perspective. It's not all about, I do have to take a position because I have a client that I represent, but it's about humanity. We all sit down at a table with the judge, with the opposing counsel, with children's counsel. We're trying to come up with a solution to track this family to a better place. And that's how it works in my courthouse. It's not like defendant, plaintiff. It's parents, it's kids, it's court, it's social worker. We're all working together to get this family on track. That's what I do.
A lot has been made about this idea of judicial temperament, meaning, I guess, the personality or the essence of being a judge. How would you describe yourself as having or not having a judicial temperament?
I have been described as even-tempered, measured, patient, knowing the value of a case, and really just kind of talking when I have something to say, not just talking to be talking. So my manner is, I'm just an even-tempered, measured person who's going to listen, as I always have, and you have to take into account all sides, not just your side. Despite having a side, you have to listen to everyone's side and understand their side. When I was in court, when I started off in court, my perspective was it's personal. I have to win this case. But then you quickly learn that it's not personal. Everyone has a job to do, including me, and you do it. And then, it's like football players in a game. They have a job to do. They do it. They hit each other. They might get mad at each other. They step off the field, and then they're fine. They're friends. That's how it should be. That's what I learned. And I could do my job a lot better after that because I wasn't looking at my opposing counsel or whoever was across the table from me like an enemy, because they weren't. They're not.
If you want to find out more, go to TraceyBlountForJudge.com. It's TRACEY and then BLOUNT, and you spell it out FOR, Judge.
For Judge, yes.
TraceyBlountForJudge.com. Thank you so much for coming in. I know last time you got caught in a massive traffic accident.
I did.
Freeway clog. It's nice to meet you face to face.
Very nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Tracey
it.
Blount is running for seat 137, and we're going to continue our election conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Wall Street closed mixed with the NASDAQ hitting a new record high. Shares of Meta and Alphabet advanced more than 1% ahead of posting their quarterly results. At the closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 154 points, the S&P 500 added 9 points, and the NASDAQ rose 145 points. Western North Carolina received a $300,000 donation from Taiwan for Helene recovery efforts. Governor Roy Cooper expressed gratitude for the international support. The funds will go to the North Carolina Disaster Relief Fund to aid nonprofits helping storm victims. Jennifer Lopez will join Vice President Harris at a Las Vegas rally on Thursday. The When We Vote, We Win rally is part of the Harris-Walz campaign's final push for early voting in Nevada. And Snoop Dogg is sharing when fans can expect his Missionary album. On Instagram, he revealed the project will arrive sometime in December. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
As Cybersecurity Awareness Month wraps up, remember to update your software to fix security issues that identity thieves exploit to steal personal info. And for comprehensive identity theft protection, choose LifeLock. Start your 30-day free trial today at lifelock.com/cybersafety.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers will try again tonight to get that World Series championship. The Yankees offense woke up Tuesday night in Game 4 3 home runs, including a grand slam, 9 hits, and 5 stolen bases. The revival led to an 11-4 beatdown. The Dodgers are up 3-1 in the series. If the Dodgers don't finish off the Yankees tonight, Game 6 is Friday here in L.A. Interesting game for the Lakers tonight at Cleveland, LeBron's home area. LeBron's son Bronny was born in Cleveland on October 6, 2004, just 3 weeks before LeBron began his second NBA season with the Cavaliers. Bronny has not played in the Lakers' last 3 games. Lakers coach J.J. Redick may feel some pressure to put LeBron and Bronny on the floor together to satisfy Cleveland fans. 4 p.m. tip-off local time. The Clippers are at home tonight against Portland. The Clippers are looking for their first regular season home win in the Intuit Dome. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is Assemblymember Tina McKenna reminding you to vote for my girl, Sade Alawari, for State Assembly. Sade is a part of our community, and she's the partner I need in Sacramento to help fight for economic justice, affordable housing, health care, and so much more. Sade is just like us. She comes out of our community, and she spent years working in our community, bringing people together. That's why she's endorsed by Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, Supervisor Holly Mitchell, teachers, firefighters, and Planned Parenthood advocates. This is Tina McKenna, and I need you to make a plan to vote and to vote by Tuesday, November the 5th, for Sade Alawari for State Assembly.
Ad paid for by Opportunity PAC, a coalition of teachers, nurses, faculty members, school employees, and public and private labor, healthcare, and environmental organizations. Ad committee's top funders, California Teachers Association, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Hey, LA, it's time to step up and be a climate change hero. Go Metro and help us shape a better future for all Angelinos. From enhancing our diverse communities to preserving our planet, Metro is dedicated to making a positive impact with every ride. Start your journey at metro.net.
Hi, my name is Erica Wiley, and I am running for Superior Court Judge, seat number 48. As a deputy public defender for more than 2 decades, I've always fought for justice. I was raised in South Central Los Angeles by a single mother, so I know the struggles which bring many to the criminal justice system. Over 20 years of experience has shown me that to protect the public, we must provide those who suffer from mental illness, homelessness, and drug addiction with the resources and tools to improve their lives. I am dedicated to criminal justice reform and ending the vicious cycle of mass incarceration. I'm endorsed by the Los Angeles Times, the Los Angeles County Democratic Party, and LA Mayor Karen Bass. Mail in your ballot today or vote in person on November 5th. Erica Wiley for Superior Court Judge, seat number 48. Find out more at my website, wileyforjudge.com. That's WILEYFOR Judge.com. Or follow me on Instagram, Wiley4Judge. Paid for by Wiley for Judge 2024. I'll see you at the polls on November 5th. Vote Wiley for Judge, seat number 48.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
We are indeed. We got a busy day around here. Get used to it. It's a countdown to the last day to vote, which will be next Tuesday. But you can vote right now. Early voting is on in person, and you can vote by mail. I'm being joined right now in the studio by the communications manager for Black Women in Wellness. She's a wellness advocate, a journalist, and a digital marketing specialist, writer, producer, social media strategist, and lots more. Myeisha Essex, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. So many issues on the ballot will impact nonprofits, will impact community members that access nonprofits, access to services. And of course, interestingly enough, Black Women for Wellness is very much focused on housing justice as it shows up in this election, and making sure people understand that some of the things on the ballot that might not say housing actually affect housing, right?
Yes. So I'm here representing Black Women for Wellness. If you don't know, we are a reproductive justice organization based here in California, and we really advocate for the health and well-being of Black women and girls. And so we currently have a Fierce Aunties campaign. This campaign launched at the top of the year, but our aunties are really advocates for reproductive justice. All the work that we do is through the lens of reproductive justice. But we realized throughout the year that there's a component of reproductive justice that we don't really talk about a lot, and that's housing insecurity. The RJ movement really says you have the right to have a child, you have the right to not to have a child, or if you do choose to have a child, you have the right for that child to live in a safe and healthy environment. And California is really in a housing crisis right now. So we're seeing more and more stories of Black women saying that they need affordable housing and upgrades. And so we really have used a lot of our time and resources for this election to educate our community that housing is on the ballot, and housing is definitely one of the biggest concerns for African American voters.
I mean, for sure that it's hard to be well if you don't have a safe place to lay your head and put your babies or not babies to sleep. Again, you know, we talk about what's on the ballot, and people may think that Prop 33, which is rent control, is the only thing addressing housing. But actually, you're making the case that Proposition 5 is also about housing, even though on its surface, it's about whether we need 65% or 55% to pass a bond. What does that have to do with housing?
Exactly. So Prop 5 is really about voter empowerment and making housing more affordable. So I think in the lamest terms, it really removes some of the red tape for us to be able to pass, to be able to get things like easier infrastructure bonds and more affordable housing. And so currently there's a 2/3 majority that needs to be passed. And if you vote yes on Prop 5, that would be advocating to lower that to 55%.
So 2/3 meaning 65% for any kind of bond, whether it's to build affordable housing, whether it's for more money to go to a schools project, and so I guess we think of it more as about budgeting and taxes and bonds, but not specifically what those bonds do. And it sounds like you're making the argument that a lot of these bonds are what end up producing housing?
Exactly. So Prop 5 is really going to make it easier for local governments to borrow money for affordable housing and some of the other infrastructure projects that we think about: water, roads, fire protection. So it really lowers that approval requirement to make it easier.
So, I mean, and I know as a nonprofit, you don't tell people vote yes on this or vote no on that, but I think it sounds like what you guys are really doing here is raising a red flag to let people know that there's more to Prop 5 than we think.
Yes. And I think at Black Women for Wellness, obviously we advocate for Black women. But when you start to look at the stats, especially in the state of California, about how Black women are disproportionately affected by our state's housing crisis, then you really see the alarming need for that. Through our Fierce Aunties campaign, we produced a mini docuseries, and we're really telling the story of California's housing crisis through the lens of Black women. And so we're seeing multiple stories of wage inequality, folks being rent burdened, evictions, homelessness, and these issues. Sometimes we stereotypically think a certain population deals with these issues, but these are regular everyday people. And so we want folks to know that, you know, we want to center Black women around this conversation, you know, uplifting our real lived experiences. Really, we hope that it sheds a light on the racial and really deep economic disparities within California's housing system currently.
So yeah, you keep mentioning the Fierce Aunties campaign. Let's talk about that. What is the Fierce Aunties campaign?
Yes, I love Fierce Aunties, and I know you spoke with Jan, our executive director, plenty of times, and she's a big lover of Fierce Aunties campaign, just like I am. But if you live here in South Los Angeles, I'm sure you've seen the billboards all around town for the past year. But our Fierce Aunties are really advocates for reproductive justice. We educate them on issues and we send them out to influence their communities, their churches, their sororities, their family, their friends. And we realized as the election season was coming around that housing is an issue that's on everyone's mind. It's an issue that everyone is concerned about. And so through this campaign, we have a poster campaign around Los Angeles, and we also did a mini docuseries with Black women from South LA telling their stories of housing injustice.
So anyone could become a Fierce Auntie?
Yes, you're a Fierce Auntie too, if you'd like.
Okay. So what would that involve?
Yes, so you can go to our website. It's bwwla.org, and you can join our movement to become a Fierce Auntie. We're also going to be having an election watch party at the BWW offices here in Leimert Park, and our Fierce Aunties will be present. It'll be a safe space where we can focus on our wellness, our resilience, and ask questions and talk from both sides and really just be amongst community.
So the folks that are Fierce Aunties, they're trained by you guys. Well, obviously they have their own opinions, but they're trained by Black Women for Wellness on how to be effective speakers and how to do outreach. And then they just go out and influence. They're like auntie influencers.
They're like auntie influencers, yes. And when we think about our aunties, they're really the women who have stepped in when our mothers couldn't be there, or when we needed someone to teach us about boys or how to balance a checkbook. Like, our aunties hold such a strong pillar in our community. And so the campaign is also about just fostering and loving on our aunties, creating community and thanking them for the things that they've taught us on our journeys and the beautiful example that they've been to us and the way that they pour into us, thanking them for that. And then we are empowering them out into the community to share that some more.
And of course, tell me about the election watch party, because a lot of folks, I think I've heard people talking about, well, where should we go and watch it? There's so much at stake, and I think probably might not be a good evening to be by yourself.
Agreed.
Because we don't know how some of these things are going to go.
Agreed. So our offices are here in Leimert Park, Black Women for Wellness. We're going to have a watch party. We will have screens from all of the different news stations, so we're able to watch live as everything is coming in. We are not necessarily anticipating that we're going to have answers on election night, but we do definitely think that it's a time and space for us to be amongst community. And if we have questions or concerns, we're there to support each other through it all, regardless of what way it goes.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Some things will be counting, hopefully not the presidential. But we don't know. I mean, if a lot of people show up and vote, and some races are very close, some propositions are very close, we may not know. Honestly, we typically don't know for days.
That's true.
But we also do get some big answers always on election night.
That's true. And we've really been trying to tell people, too, it's not just about the presidential election.
No,
Even
absolutely.
if you're not passionate about that, there's props and measures, and we want you to be educated on them.
Props and measures and local candidates. That's all on the table. Myeisha Essex from Black Women for Wellness is with us. We continue the conversation when we come forward exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Before running for state senate, Laura Richardson was named one of the most corrupt members of Congress, guilty on 7 counts of ripping off taxpayers and a pattern of deception trying to cover it up. Richardson is too shady for state senate. For your state senator, frontline nurses, classroom teachers, and Planned Parenthood Advocacy Project support Democrat Michelle Chambers, a champion for abortion rights, higher wages for workers, and more affordable health care. Democrat Michelle Chambers for state senate.
Ad paid for by nurses and educators supporting Chambers for Senate 2024, sponsored by labor and nonprofit environmental and health organizations, Ad Committee's top funders, SEIU California State Council, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
That morning chill means truck season.
5 more minutes.
No snoozing. Do it all in a Chevy Colorado or Silverado, including the class-leading range of the Silverado EV.
Talking to me?
Work, play, hauling, off-roading, a Chevy truck can take it all.
Okay, I'm up.
It's Chevy Truck Season. Get 0% financing on all 2024 Silverado 1500 pickups when you finance with GM Financial. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
0% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $27.78 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 9.3%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 10/31/24.
Politics has become so messy lately, it's hard to find a reason to be hopeful. Hi, my name is Shakira. I'd like to tell you why Adam Schiff gives me hope. My parents raised me to take my right to vote seriously, so I try to stay on top of what's going on. I saw Adam Schiff lead the impeachment and insurrection hearings. He seemed like someone I could believe in. Then I actually met him at the MLK parade in South Central LA this year. Adam listened. He cared. I got to see who he is. He understands the struggle we have with the cost of living, all the parents working extra shifts and taking second jobs to get by. He gets a threat to our democracy and our freedoms. Adam Schiff knows how tough things really are for a lot of us, and I believe he's going to do something about it. It gives me hope, but hope isn't enough. We need to vote for Adam Schiff for Senate.
I'm Adam Schiff, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Schiff for Senate.
This is Assemblymember Tina McKenna reminding you to vote for my girl, Sade Alawari, for State Assembly. Sade is a part of our community, and she's the partner I need in Sacramento to help fight for economic justice, affordable housing, health care, and so much more. Sade is just like us. She comes out of our community, and she spent years working in our community, bringing people together. That's why she's endorsed by Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, Supervisor Holly Mitchell, teachers, firefighters, and Planned Parenthood advocates. This is Tina McKenna, and I need you to make a plan to vote and to vote by Tuesday, November the 5th, for Sade Alawari for State Assembly.
Ad paid for by Opportunity PAC, a coalition of teachers, nurses, faculty members, school employees, and public and private labor, healthcare, and environmental organizations. Ad committee's top funders, California Teachers Association, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Angelinos, it is critical to vote down ballot this November, especially for our local judges. Judges make major decisions, not just in our criminal courts, but also in our family, juvenile, small claims, and housing courts across LA County. This November, we must elect community lawyers who will bring their informed legal experiences to the LA Superior Court. The defenders of justice are Erica Wiley for seat number 48 and George Turner for seat number 39. If you live in LA County, they will be on your ballot. Ad paid for by the Justice PAC by La Defensa, a project of Tide's advocacy for Turner and Wiley for Judge 2024. Top funders include Patty Quillen and Smart Justice California Action Fund.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Tips to help improve your credit score in 2024. Establishing credit is an important key to achieving financial health, but building a credit history from scratch can feel challenging since you need credit to build credit. First, what does it mean to build credit? All consumers have a score between 300 and 850. You want your score to be as high as possible as lenders look at your credit score to make loan and credit decisions. A good credit score shows you have a track record of borrowing money responsibly. Remember, it's never too late to build or rebuild your credit. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase & Company.
If you're facing an unexpected financial emergency, you need WeFixMoney.com. WeFixMoney.com can help you get up to $3,000 fast. Simply fill out the form and get an answer in 2 minutes. WeFixMoney.com is free to use, available 24/7, and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Trust the name you know. WeFixMoney.com. For emergency cash up to $3,000, type WeFixMoney.com directly in your browser. That's WeFixMoney.com.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
And the conversation continues with Myeisha Essex of Black Women for Wellness. I want to circle back for just a second to Proposition 5. I know we talked about the Fierce Aunties program and how Black Women for Wellness as a nonprofit doesn't tell people how to vote, but you want to inform people on what their options are and what might impact them in ways that aren't anticipated. So Proposition 5, we think of it as making it easier to pass a bond measure. Instead of 65%, we would need 55%, which is more than most things. It's anything else, it's 50% plus one vote, right? That this would take it down from 2/3 to 55%. And you stated that this could impact bonds for affordable housing and other kinds of projects that would create or diminish the amount of options we have. So just to be clear, a yes on 5 means what?
A yes on 5 means you are voting for lowering the threshold to 55% to pass, to make it easier to pass things like affordable housing and infrastructure bonds.
So if we vote yes on 5, that means we want to create a legislative environment where it would be easier to pass bonds that could be used for things like affordable housing.
Yes, it lowers some of the red tape.
If we vote no on 5, that means we want to keep it the way it is and keep it very, very difficult to pass any kind of bond in the state of California.
Exactly. And a big part of our messaging, we really want people to know that housing is a basic human right. It's not a privilege. Everyone deserves, access to a safe and affordable place to call home. And so Prop 5, we really want folks to be educated on that. Also Prop 33, to know that that housing is on the ballot and there's measures here to help us move that forward.
Prop 33, if you vote yes on Prop 33, you want to allow cities and counties to control their own rules about rent control and repeal Costa-Hawkins, which made it illegal to do rent control on newer units, newer than 1995. If you vote no on 33, you want to keep things the way it is, where we cannot have rent control on things built after 1995 and where the cities and counties do not have the option to create their own rules.
Exactly. I have some stats here too about how Black women, particularly in California, are disproportionately impacted really by the state's housing affordability crisis. Is it okay to share?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. So about 2/3 of Black women are burdened by rent. We also have the lowest rates of home ownership. Over our lifetimes, Black women experience eviction at 3 times the rate of white women, and this is here in the state of California. And nearly 60% of unhoused families are single mother families, and Black women lead over half of those households. And then also, despite making up only 7% of California's population, Black people represent more than a quarter of the state's homeless population. So I think that these numbers really show how affordable housing is really needed here in the state of California.
Yeah, and when we say rent burdened, that means it's over a certain percentage of your income. It's taking up too big of a chunk of your income, right?
Yes. And so we would say someone who isn't rent burdened is able to make, 3 times the amount of their rent.
Right. So you need to be bringing home 3 times the total of your rent.
Yes.
Which for people in LA, you would probably have to be pretty wealthy to do that.
Most definitely. It's definitely normal for folks to be spending half of their income or even more on their rent here.
Yeah. And that's considered rent burden because it doesn't leave you enough money for other things like food, utilities.
Childcare.
Yeah. That's a big one. Childcare and transportation. I know probably the biggest push for all the nonprofits is just to get people out to vote. Period. Just vote, no matter how you vote, right?
Yes, we want to get folks to the polls, especially Black people to the polls. Our voice really matters, and we want, we're really not telling people, like you said, what to vote for, but we want to make sure that folks are informed voters. Know your ballot. We have multiple voter guides, ballot recommendations for multiple nonprofits and organizations. We've done a roundup of different voter guides from local nonprofits on our website at bww.la.org if you'd like to look. So yes, we have the materials to help educate folks, and so it's there for you.
So you guys have kind of curated a list of different voter voter recommendations and aggregated them on your website.
Yes, we have. And we also have our own voter guide, and then our sister organization, which is Black Women for Wellness Action Project. We actually have a voter guide with recommendations on if you would like to follow that, on exact propositions that we recommend.
Yeah, I feel like folks are looking for information, and you got to have a voting plan, right? I mean, the last day to vote is Tuesday, but a lot of folks are doing it before then.
Yes, and that's the messaging we've been telling folks too. Like, Election Day is November 5th, but that's really the last day to vote. Early voting is open here in California, and you also can do your mail-in ballot.
And the mail-in ballots, if you're worried because you saw the stories about burning ballot boxes, just take it to the post office yourself.
I saw that in 3 states. It was very alarming.
Excuse me. Yeah. Well, so give us, we just got a minute here. Why don't you share a little bit more about Black Women for Wellness?
Yes. So Black Women for Wellness, we are a nonprofit. We have locations here in Los Angeles, also up north in Stockton. And all the work we do is through the lens of reproductive justice. So we have an environmental justice team. We have a reproductive justice team. We also work with maternal and infant health to help lower the rates of Black women who unfortunately lose their lives during childbirth. We also do work for our Sisters in Motion team does work for wellness. We do a food distribution bi-weekly at our office where we give out free organic produce to the community, really to help the community learn how to eat organic and in season. And so all the work that we do is really to help uplift Black women, advocate for Black women, and it's all through the lens of reproductive justice.
And of course, if you need yet another voter guide, go to bwwla.org. I found it under programs. Myeisha Essex, thank you so much for coming in and talking with us this morning.
Likewise, thank you.
Woo, countdown to the election. Tavis Smiley is next. He's already pacing in the hall, which means he's got a great show for you today and a full lineup of guests to get your gray matter moving. Let's keep the conversation going on social media. You can find us at KBLA 1580 on all platforms. Find me on my personal DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio. We have got to do this. This is the last push, and maybe we're all tired, but we're just going to have to woman up and get through it. It's just 6 days to go. History is now, like my mama, Diane DiPrima, used to say, and we are making it together. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Until tomorrow, when we continue our voting conversations, our election information, until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Wall Street closed mixed with the NASDAQ hitting a new record high. Shares of Meta and Alphabet advanced more than 1% ahead of posting their quarterly results. At the close, the funds will go to the North Carolina Disaster Relief Fund to aid nonprofits helping storm victims. Jennifer Lopez will join Vice President Harris at a Las Vegas